If you want to know why I have such an intense hatred for Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, the root of it is being a long suffering Buffalo Bills fan. Okay, for the past 20 years, we've had to deal with this team dominating the division that we dominated in the 1990s. Okay, during this past 20 years, I've seen this team win 6 Super Bowls, appear in 9 Super Bowls, be given accolades that I think are a little bit excessive at times. Greatest coach of all time, greatest player of all time, greatest dynasty of all time. All this ridiculous shit. The thing I resent is the fact that this is the factual shit. That they've literally gotten a slap on the wrist for, violating rules, cheating, having monitors and cameras set up to look at just to get glimpses of plays and deflating footballs and getting caught cheating multiple times and getting slaps on the wrist. Okay? I've seen the NFL literally change their rules as far as hitting the quarterback just because their golden boy Tom Brady got injured one preseason. Completely changed their rules for one player. Can you scream preferential treatment louder than that? Not to mention the fact that Tom Brady, even if he doesn't share the views of these people, he is nonetheless a symbol of white supremacy for those who believe in it. I'm not saying he's a white supremacist himself, although he is a Trump supporter. But the fact that I'm pretty sure if you go into the homes of anybody who is a noted white supremacist, when I say white supremacist, I mean a white person who believes that his race is superior to other races. Okay? And if he's a sports fan, I'm pretty sure somewhere in his, his room where he has all of his sports posters and memorabilia, there's going to be a picture of Tom Brady somewhere. If it's on his wall, if it's on his desk, Patriots memorabilia, it's going to be something. Even if he's not a Patriots fan, it's going to be something with Tom Brady represented right there because of what Tom Brady represents. But more than anything else, with me personally, I hate his fan base. I hate his fan base because this year proved to me what I've always suspected. I've noticed that a huge portion of New England Patriots fans have all of a sudden, like a group of fucking scurvy bees, swarm from New England all the way down the coast, all the way down Tampa Bay, because they're following one player. Like I just said, because of what he represents. Talking shit about Patriots, talking shit about Belichick, talking shit about Cam Newton, hoping Cam Newton fails, making fun of the fact that he tested positive for you know what, hoping he gets severely injured. What type of fan are you? What type of human being are you? No matter how much shit I might talk about Tom Brady or anybody, you'll never hear me wishing injury on somebody. That's a tremendous. You're a true devil. You're a demonic force, entity, a devil. If you are wishing injury on a player, soulless. So that's at the heart core of why I don't like Tom Brady and why I didn't like New England because I knew what was up. But is this a turning point? Is this a turning point for the Buffalo Bills? I don't know, man. I have that healthy Al Bundy skepticism. You know what I'm saying? I just waiting for the other shoe to drop, man. If you've been a Buffalo Bills fan, you know their history. You just don't trust shit. You know, they're 12-3. They just thoroughly romped the Patriots. Once again, after a 20-year absence, the Buffalo Bills are the kings of the AFC East. But can we trust it? I don't know. Now, I haven't really followed football the last couple of years because of with the brother Colin Kaepernick, but I can't sit up here and act like I haven't paid attention a little bit this year. Okay, heard little rumblings about how this Buffalo Bills team was different. They went to the playoffs last year, ended that long drought. You know, and you wonder, okay, yeah, but when they're going to show their true colors, they're going to lose 3 games in a row or whatever, but it hasn't happened yet. So this is going to be a 12-4 or even a 13-3 team when all said and done. That's a really good team. What does the future hold? I don't know. I don't know, but we'll see. You think about the history of the franchise, though. It's been a lot of pain. It's been some triumphs and a lot of misery. The Buffalo Bills got their start all the way back in 1960 when Lamar Hunt formed the AFL, the American Football League. Buffalo had always been a football city with a lot of history of professional teams in the city of Buffalo. Um, some have been NFL franchises that folded. Some go even before the NFL even existed. Some early professional football teams that didn't pan out and folded. So Buffalo has always had a history of football. So the AFL chose to create a franchise in Buffalo. They named them the Bills. Now, I can't remember the exact origins of it, but it has something to do with a play on the name of a body of water up there. I think it's called the Bilal or something like that. Somehow it just translated into Buffalo Bills or something. I don't know. The owner at the time was Ralph Wilson. He would own the team for over 50 years. Early on, the Buffalo Bills had some success in the AFL. Remember, this is when they were in the AFL, and they won a couple of AFL titles in the mid 1960s. Um, by the time of the AFL NFL merger in 1970, Buffalo was on a downward spiral. Their star quarterback, Jack Kemp, who eventually went into politics and got as high as the vice presidential nominee for president, or the vice presidential nominee on the GOP ticket in 1996 with Bob Dole. He was a congressperson for many years. Passed away in 2009, I believe, of cancer. He was a quarterback in the 60s, but when he got injured in 69, the Bills were the worst team in the NFL, or the AFL, and that's when they drafted O.J. Simpson. Now, in the early 1970s, O.J. Simpson was the best running back in the NFL, one of the best players in football, period. In 1973, I believe it was, that's when he set a record for most rushing yards in the season. He was the first running back to rush for over 2,000 yards in the season. And what made it so impressive was the fact that he did it in only 14 games. It was a 14-game schedule at that time. Buffalo wasn't a really good team at that time. Um, they were a team that might go something like, 8-6, 7-7. In the mid 1970s, they did field a really, really good team that went deep in the playoffs. But then later on in the 70s, I think 1977, O.J. Simpson got traded to the 49ers. And that team eventually broke up. And then they entered a period of time where the future of the franchise was in doubt. by the 1980s, Chuck Knox was the head coach, who was a really good coach, but he didn't really have much of a team, and the Buffalo Bills struggled. So much so that attendance was lagging, the profits were down considerably. There was some talk that the Buffalo Bills might actually have to fold as a franchise or move. And fortunately, things began to change. Chuck Knox left as a coach. Like he went to the Seahawks. Eventually, Marv Levy became the head coach in the mid to late 80s. Uh, then they started forming that team that we're all familiar with, that Super Bowl team, as Super Bowl caliber team. Jim Kelly, who had, I think, been drafted by the Buffalo Bills but played in the USFL, eventually came to the Buffalo Bills. Then you had Andre Reed. Then you had Thurman Thomas. Then you had Bruce Smith and all those familiar faces. And by the late 1980s, they were an improving team. And then in 1990, that's when they turned the corner and they became the best team in the AFL. And that's when they went to 4 consecutive Super Bowls. The first one was the most winnable. That's the one that they should have won. They played against the New York Giants. That's when Buffalo, I think, had the number one offense in the NFL. But what the Giants did brilliantly in that Super Bowl is controlling the clock, controlling possession, and keeping the offense off the field. And that was just enough, along with Scott Norwood missing that fucking kick. That was enough to give them, um, I believe at the time, their second Super Bowl victory. The next 3 years, we would go to the Super Bowl, but it was pain. We got blown out by the Redskins, 37 to I think 24. But the score, the final score is much closer than the game actually was. I think at one point it was 37 to 10 before the starters went out. So it really wasn't even that close. And then, of course, the next Super Bowl, the 1992 team that got absolutely obliterated, 52 to 17. I mean, it's one of the biggest ass kickings ever. And I remember at school the next couple of days, we just could not. Well, when I say Buffalo Bill fans, could not let that shit down. You know what I'm saying? And if it wasn't for Steve Tasker, it would have been 59-17. That's what I talk about with Steve Tasker about players not giving up. You know what I'm saying? Even in a blowout situation like that, he could have easily just let them score. But you have too much pride for that. Paul George, take notes. But the one that really hurts is the last one because I thought that we could have beaten that team. I remember we were up 13-10 at halftime against the Cowboys. And I said to myself, man, we can beat this team, man. We can beat this team. Remember, we weren't even supposed to be there that year. It's supposed to have been the Houston Oilers. Now, of course, the Tennessee Titans. It was supposed to have been the Houston Oilers. And it took a historic comeback. Us coming back from a 35-3 deficit for us to come back into that game, winning in overtime for us to advance the Super Bowl. We weren't supposed to be there. And I really thought that we could win it. And then Emmitt Smith took over the fucking game. And we didn't score again, and they won 30-13. I'm not gonna lie, man. I bust out crying after that game because it really, really hurts to lose that many times. I mean, look, even the Atlanta Braves, as underachieving as they were, they still got a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a World Series, excuse me. Even they got a World Series. So I kind of knew that the odds were against us to go back again. We never again went to the Super Bowl again, but we were a good team for the duration of the 90s. But you could tell age was starting to catch up with us by the late 90s. And then I'll never forget 1999. This is what really just caused my mind to feel like, this franchise might be cursed. Maybe they're playing on ancient burial grounds or something. There's some ghosts. I don't know what the fuck is going on now. But the Music City Miracle, it looked like we had that game in the bag. We were a really good team that year. I can't remember our record. It might have been 11-5 or something like that. We were playing against the Tennessee Titans, and it looked like we had the game in the bag. And we all know what happened then. You know what I'm saying? And that was it. At that time, this is how long ago that was. When I was watching that game, I was 19 years old. 19 years old. I had a huge fucking afro at the time, man. Fucking boofed out, huge afro, full head of hair. Now I'm rocking a goddamn, damn near Carl Winslow shit. You know what I'm saying? But that's how long it's been as far as misery is concerned about being a Buffalo Bills fan. It's misery upon misery upon misery upon misery. I know Washington Redskins fans have probably had even worse than us recently, but at least they have the pride and the glory of winning 3 Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? They've achieved something as a franchise. You know. Now about 5 or 6 years ago, Ralph Wilson passed away. He was the owner of the team. I hate to say this, but maybe that was a good thing. Not to him passing away. He got to live to be 95 years old. So, you can't really be sad about that. But what I meant is maybe we needed some fresh blood. We needed you know, some new people, some new personnel, man. New person over on the team. Maybe they would be more in tune with the latest trends and you know how people get set in their ways, man. Um, I just hope that we could just be a contender. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't want us to win a Super Bowl. You know, that's the one thing that's eluded the Buffalo Bills is the Super Bowl championship. And maybe one day it'll happen. I don't think it's going to happen this year. It seems like everybody thinks the Chiefs are shooing for a repeat title. But you never know, man. If we could upset that team in the AFC title game or something, man, you never know with the Super Bowl. But shout out to the Buffalo Bills. They're 12-3. And we'll have to see what happens. Let me tell what you guys think.